What's going on, guys? This is Danny from Slow Restoration, and today we're going to show you real quick and easy how to replace the output shaft seal on this 2003 Chevy S10 frame. Well, it's actually not the frame we're replacing the seal, it's the transmission. So first step is you will leak some fluid, so get a drain pan. And as you can see, that there's no body on this frame, so it's a little bit easier to show, but it's really not a bad job to do whether there's a body or not. If there's a body on it, of course, you either have to put it up on a lift or jack it up and get underneath. So if you do jack it up, just make sure you position it properly and put jack stands for safety. So once you have your jacks or your drain pan under it, this particular one does have a carrier bearing. So there's a bolt here, a bolt there. We already took one out. Actually, everything is loose because I do have to detail this drive shaft up. So it's a 15 millimeter and an 18 millimeter on this particular one. I do know if it's a regular cab short bed, at least there is no carrier bearing, so you can skip that step. Crew cabs, I also believe there is no carrier bearings. I'm not sure on a regular cab long bed, but definitely extended cab, short bed, there is a carrier bearing. So you will have to remove the bolts on that. So once we remove those bolts, we will remove the back U-joint there. Again, on this particular model, this is a stick shift. It actually has the MV 3500 trans in it. And with a stick shift, there's bolts and straps. Again, we already have these loose, but it's a 10 millimeter. On the automatic, I know it is a little different. It's a 4-bolt flange. So the U-joint isn't loose. It actually has a flange built onto it, and it bolts straight into the yoke on the rear. Either way, you're removing 4 bolts. So we'll remove these with our drain pan. We'll remove the drive shaft. And anytime you remove a drive shaft, it's always good practice to take note of the reference of the rotation of it. Obviously on this, there's a sticker on this front shaft and a grease fitting on the rear, which is pointing up towards us. So when we put this back together, we'll just put that back in the same way. So let's get this drive shaft slid out. We'll show you how to change that seal. Like I said, this is a 2-wheel drive MV 3500. So it will cover S10s and actually some of the full-size Chevy trucks also use the same trans. So first thing we need to do is get this old seal out, and here you do have to be cautious. There's no lip for the seal on the outside, so this seal actually pushes in. So we're gonna carefully take a screwdriver and a hammer and gently drive this in there, trying not to scar this bore where the seal pushes in. Once we get this in there, we'll start prying that out. We might have to do it a couple times, working our way around, but let's see how it works here. So we just took our screwdriver and lightly tapped it in with a hammer. Like I said, whoop, it popped right back out. So we're gonna have to take a couple more swings at that and just get a little bit more. We might have to go here, maybe here, and just kind of work that seal out and go straight in on it. As you can see, there's starting to be a gap around that seal, and we'll just work our way around. That seal will get loose and we'll be able to pry it right out towards us. If we get a good hold there, we can actually start prying. As you can see, that seal is definitely moving now. Again, you want to be careful not to mar up the surface of the tail shaft itself and just get the seal out from there. And we're just about there now. Yep. So our seal is out. We'll go ahead and grab that. Pull that out. I'll grab the new seal and we'll compare the two. This seal is wrong. Obviously, the new seal is quite a bit bigger diameter than the old one. so we need to pick up the correct one. And so we're pretty much dead in the water as far as reinstalling this until we get the proper seal, but we'll show you how to do it anyway if we did have the proper one. So to put this back together, if we did have the correct seal, the outside of this is actually rubber. It's a boot, so it's soft. We can't obviously drive in on that. So what we need to do, well, first thing we need to do is clean out that inside board, make sure it's nice and clean. We're going to slip this over, and then they make a tool, a seal driver. It's different diameter tubes pretty much, and you slip it over and you're able to tap on it. You can use a socket, so if you can get a socket that fits there, fits over and grabs on this small surface here, really anything that you can get that fits over this boot and drives on that will work. So if you don't have a seal driver, you can use a socket, a large socket to fit over that, or a piece of exhaust pipe or anything to fit over that and drive that seal in. Our driver here, we're going to set that on there and just lightly tap that in nice and even all the way around. So there we got it. It tapped in a little easier than a new seal would, just because it is the old seal. But pretty much you're going to make that seal surface, that shoulder there, flush with the outside of the tail shaft, and that is it. So we have our seal reinstalled. The only thing we need to do now is take this drive shaft, slide it back on those splines. The splines don't line up any specific way. We're just going to orient our drive shaft the same way, so that this grease fitting is going to be sticking up, and of course that sticker on there is going to be pointing up towards us too. It's always a good idea, anything that rotates, orient in the same spot to eliminate some vibration. And by the way, if we were going to be doing U-joints in this, we would definitely want to mark each section of the shaft and make sure these shafts are balanced. As you can see right there is a balance weight. So we want to make sure this went back together in the same order, same orientation, rotation as it is now, to eliminate any balancing issues. With the drive shaft lined back up with the splines, you might have to rotate it just a little bit to get it to line up. It just slides right back in. We'll set this carrier bearing back down. We'll line up the bolt holes. We'll drop our bolts in, tighten them up, and also just pick this back drive shaft up and slip it into the drive shaft, the U-joint into the yoke, and tighten up our 4 bolts there. And that's really all there is to it. It's pretty simple. When you're done, you do want to check on the side here. There's a fill plug and a drain plug. If it hasn't been serviced in a while, it may be a good idea just to drain this and refill. If it has been and you're just checking, you will have lost a little bit of fluid. It's always a good idea just check your level. And remember, these things do take synchro mesh fluid. Let me grab a bottle of that. Here's the Pennzoil version of it. As you can see, it says synchro mesh on it. So I don't have the right seal, so there's no sense me bolting this back up. But like I said, it's very self-explanatory. And we are going to go ahead and clean this up and paint this drive shaft while we have it out. Just a quick little how-to, guys. It might save you a couple dollars and be able to fix your truck, car, whatever. A lot of output shaft seals are the same. Like I said, this just happens to be an S10 pickup. We had sitting here, so it was a perfect example to show. But a lot of them are similar. Even the 4-wheel drive, you will have a transfer case in there in between with the shaft seals, but they're very similar also. So you might be able to save yourself a couple dollars and not take it to the shop, do it yourself. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Have a good day.